So, is it possible to create some form of system or like an immune system to basically help one manage and mitigate risk, right? And the reason I bring this up is because I read an interesting book by General Stanely McChrystal called Risk, a User's Guide. Here's the cover if you so wish to see it. Um, and the reason this kind of popped up for me is as I've been trying to kind of learn how to manage my own capital and that sort of thing, being an adult and such, basically, I've noticed that risk management is pretty much everything, and you kind of start to see risk everywhere, it seems. And a lot of the times, what I've been noticing is the way you kind of study risk for, say, capital management has a lot of analogies to other aspects of life in general, right? And so reading this book really kind of showed an idea of having like a risk immune system, so to say, that he breaks down into 10 different factors, right? And so a little bit about the book and who it's, a little bit about Stanley McChrystal first, right? And so he, obviously, general, retired in July of 2010 as a 4-star general in the Army, and then basically served as a commander of International Security Assistance Forces and director, Joint Staff, and Special Operations and other stuff as well, right? Now he has like a leadership firm, right? And this book itself was written in 2020, right? And really kind of accentuates the use of systems for risk management into literally what he calls a risk immune system. And he draws analogies to your body's immune system the entire time, right? And so from the inside cover itself, individuals and organizations fail to mitigate risk because they focus on the probability of something happening instead of the interface by which it can be managed, right? And so instead of thinking about events or risks or whatever the case may be for what you're trying to manage, instead of trying to think of the probability itself of a certain event going a certain way, yes, that's important, but it seems like it would be better to kind of focus on creating your own system or interface, as he said, through which you can actually manage that risk, right? Because, yeah, something can happen, but it really depends on how you kind of excuse me. Sorry. Hope there wasn't too much feedback on that. But it really matters how you respond to things, right? And so not necessarily something happened, it is what it is, there's nothing you can do about it. Just how are you going to respond to that? Are you going to bounce back if it knocked you down, whatever the case may be, right? And so it's important to kind of create some form of system that can basically, or a set of like principles for yourself through which you kind of use that as a lens to look at everything. And then from there you can kind of, you have some like standard operating procedures through which you can actually like react to real world things and, improve in whatever the case may be, right? And so he says his system provides a battle tested system for detecting and responding to risk, the whole point of what we're talking about. And he breaks these into 10 different control factors, right? Which he says are communication, narrative, structure, technology, diversity, bias, action, timing, adaptability, and leadership, right? And those are his 10 different factors. And for each one, he gives examples, explains it further, and so on, right? So, to quote, a healthy risk immune system that allows us to effectively anticipate, identify, analyze, and act upon the ever-present possibility that things will not go as planned, right? And so you need to have, that's kind of defining an effective and healthy risk immune system, as he says, is that ability to basically react, understand, and function with this plethora of risk that you're going to deal with regardless, because things aren't always going to go as planned, and you have to be able to quickly identify that and basically react to it in a beneficial way, right? And so he provides real-world examples along with their solutions to strengthening this risk immune system that he has. And he has a entire chapter that's basically just a table of the real-world examples and breaks it into like the symptoms, basically the problems observed for that immune system or for the risk immune system, relevant risk control factors, and solutions basically to improve or strengthen that immune system, right? And so kind of to reiterate the why for this book is you can never eliminate all risks, right? You can only basically mitigate them and manage them, right? And that's kind of seems to be true for like capital management as well as other aspects of life, right? Just in general, things are going to happen that things are not going to go as planned, and you're going to have to figure things out and go with it, right? And that's pretty much it. All life is risk management, as it seems, right? So that's pretty much all I have for this in general. I don't like to go too depth into the book itself and the content because that's what the book's for. And me telling you things isn't necessarily going to help you understand it more. And so I like to kind of leave it open to you guys to actually read the book and discuss it and so on, to actually try to study and understand the concepts in it, because that's the only way it really seems helpful, right? He also ends it, I will say this, the epilogue is titled The Myth of Helplessness, right? Because you're never really helpless, you can always do something. And he goes, obviously, more in depth than 3 sentences. So anyway, here's the cover of the book again, if you so wish to get it. In the one of the corners, there'll be a playlist for other book reviews and stuff, and I'll put a link to the book itself in the description so you guys can find it easy. Probably just like an Amazon link or something. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to leave this one here, so I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you on the next one.